This is devotional number 344, and today's date is October 5th, 2017. We've been looking this week at Psalm 93, and we're down to verse 4. Jehovah on high is mightier than the noise of many waters, yea, than the mighty waves of the sea. We looked at a passage yesterday in Isaiah 17, 12 through 13, having to do with many waters. I'll read that. Woe to the multitude of many people, which make a noise like the noise of the seas, and to the rushing of nations, that make a rushing like the rushing of mighty waters. The nations shall rush like the rushing of many waters, but God shall rebuke them, and they shall flee far off, and shall be chased as the chaff of the mountains before the wind, and like a rolling thing before the whirlwind. We learn from this passage that God equates the multitude of many people and the nations to the seas. This is Strong's number 3220. It's the same Hebrew word as in Psalm 93:4, as well as to mighty waters and many waters. The language in verse 13 is that of God's judgment, and God shall rebuke them. We also learned that the Hebrew word used twice in verse 12 as noise, which is Strong's number 1993, generally conveys the meaning of commotion, tumult, or uproar. As a matter of fact, God uses this word, 1993, also as raging in Proverbs 20, verse 1. Wine is a mocker, strong drink is raging, and whosoever is deceived thereby is not wise. We also read in Psalm 83, 1-2, that the enemies of God, who are all the unsaved of the world, make a tumult with their arrogant hatred of God. Keep not thou silence, O God. Hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. In Proverbs 20, verse 1, wine and drink are seen to produce deception, which is the nature of spiritual drunkenness, and also is a reference for being not wise, which is related to the unsaved. And we have to keep in mind that wine and strong drink are really pictures of a false gospel. And in Matthew 24, 3 times it talks about false Christs and false prophets, indicating that that is really the chief characteristic of the Great Tribulation period. Now, if we go back to Psalm 93:4, the Hebrew word there for noise is 6963, and it also is translated as voice and also as sound. And in our last lesson, we saw that the word associated with Judgment Day, that this word is associated with Judgment Day in Zephaniah 1:14, the voice of the day of Jehovah. We also find a couple of important passages related to the Great Tribulation period in the book of Jeremiah, which uses both 1993 as well as 6963. For example, in Jeremiah 6:22-23, we learn, Thus saith Jehovah, Behold, a people cometh from the north country, and a great nation shall be raised from the sides of the earth. They shall lay hold on bow and spear. They are cruel and have no mercy. Their voice roareth like the sea, and they ride upon horses set in array as men for war against thee, O daughter of Zion. So here, when it says voice roareth, we have 69:63 as well as 19:93. And spiritually, we know the great nation that God used to bring judgment first on God's own house is Satan and his kingdom. And later in the book of Jeremiah, God uses almost identical language having to do with judgment, again, against, number one, the churches and denominations that came under the wrath of God and that are pictured as the daughter of Zion in Jeremiah 6, and also the daughter of Babylon in Jeremiah 50, 40 to 42, when after the judgment on the churches and denominations, there's a transition to the entire world. The entire world has become the kingdom of Babylon, the kingdom of Satan, in which salvation is no longer possible, as God shut the door on May 21, 2011. As God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Jehovah, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coasts of the earth. They shall lay hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel, and will not show mercy. Their voice, 69:63, shall roar, 1993, like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array, like a man to the battle, against thee, O daughter of Babylon. And the term daughter of Babylon also refers to Mystery Babylon, the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, as we read in these verses from Revelation 17, 1, 5, and 15. And there came one of the 7 angels, which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Verse 5, and upon her forehead was a name written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. And then in verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. And lastly, Jeremiah 51:13 makes this incisive statement, O thou Babylon, that dwellest upon many waters, abundant in treasures, thine end is come, and the measure of thy covetousness